Welcome to the start of what I would hope to be a very short and direct to the point situation. This red FD that is just like the embodiment of I don't know, DIY, I guess. But he didn't DIY. He wired somebody else to wire it. Anyway, what are we starting with? So I got a whole list of stuff that we're gonna do, but I'm gonna start with the big stuff, the most impactful stuff. The whole turbo assembly is coming off. The gasket under there is a single ply graphite trash gasket that shouldn't be anywhere near here. So this needs to come off so that can be replaced, and the correct gasket needs to be bought. So that's gonna be off for a little while. This needs to be clocked correctly. As you can see, the oil feed is the oil return right now. The whole top section needs to come apart because the entire rat's nest cradle, if you want to call it that, is still here. It needs to go away so that we can adapt these fuel lines to the car. This is going away, so that needs to go away. I need to verify that the injectors and stuff were installed correctly. The harness is coming out. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that needs to be done. So basically all of this needs to come apart minus the cooling stuff. So really, disassemble the top of the motor, take the turbo off, and take the oil filter pedals or the oil filter sandwich plate off, because the only reason why it's installed after further investigation is for the oil feed, which this doesn't make any sense. So we're gonna ditch that. So this should be a good start, and then we're going to deal with this situation here. So I don't know, I'm gonna say it, but yeah, don't do this. Yeah, so we're not gonna get started on any like sort of reassembly stuff. I think the only thing that we're really gonna commit on is putting the fuel filter where it's supposed to go, and he bought the JP3 fuel filter relocation kit, which is nice. So we're gonna use that, put the fuel filter where it goes. He got a new fuel filter in there as well, and probably pull the fuel pump out because I need to do the mod and everything on that. If you don't know how to do that, check out the video in the corner. It'll show you how to properly mod your fuel pump for up to, I don't know, 400 or so horsepower, maybe a little bit more. Anything that requires a single pump and 5/16 line, that mod will carry you there with grace and excellence. So we're gonna get to work, start taking this stuff apart, see what other secrets hide in here. Hopefully it's not much. First thing down, turbo's out. So fortunately, this is taking place because those were loose, like a lot. So the screamer pipe clamps, loose. The clamps that hold the gates to the manifold, loose. And there was definitely something wrong with this because it was tight and not even a single thread was showing through on the other end of this nut when it was on the turbo. It's off now, obviously. But this is why we took it off, because of this gasket here, if you want to call it that. So there's a reason why it's crazy, because this is as thick as the grid lines on the screen of the camera. Anyway, so there's a reason why the stock manifold gaskets are set up the way they are, and using this with this and with this is guaranteed failure. It's not going to work at all. So this needed to come out, and it's trash, and now it's out. And oh, you hear that? Listen to that. Sounds like freaking like a cardboard. Oh my gosh. Even if this car had started, like, it wouldn't have been good for very long, if at all. Like, it's really bad. All right, so this vacuum line is attached to nothing, so this would have been a big vacuum leak. For whatever reason, there's a solenoid still connected back there. I'm guessing it's being used as a vacuum plug, because the vacuum line is still attached, but obviously there's no connector or anything else going to it. So that's great. This clamp here on the firewall that's holding the wideband wires, those wires are fighting for their lives right now. So I'm going to release them, and we'll see what happens with that. But it doesn't matter, because the sensor has been out of the exhaust this whole time, and it's just been dragging on the ground. So the condition of the sensor is as such that we couldn't use this anyway, even if we wanted to, because it's trash. So you can see where it was dragging, hitting the concrete, doing all the things. So the sensor is garbage. Fortunately, he has another one in the back already, but still, like, why is that like that? Oh, that was pretty cool. Like, why is that like that? So that's done. Then, of course, these situations here. So obviously these ports aren't being used anymore. This is turbo coolant feed and return for the stock twins. If he had an EFR, these would be used, but he doesn't. So how did they do this? Stuff like this is not okay, you know, like it's just not okay. So I'm gonna work on getting these off. Take the oil metering pump off. We're deleting that. This is rubber, so I'm gonna replace that. All these caps are gonna be silicone and they're gonna be on properly. I'm not a fan of this chase base thing, like, at all, but I know it was very expensive and he has it and it's already installed, so we're gonna use it, and that's loose. So that's good. And also, this is loose, so that's pretty cool. All the other fittings are tight except for that one, so I guess that's the one that they forgot when they put the thing together. But you know, this process here of going through everything and making sure it's all good. Imagine we started the car, right? Or imagine we were any other shop and we're just like, yeah, we'll just finish what you already have and whatever. Say we went to start the car. First thing that would have happened, oil would have spewed out of that at 100 and whatever PSI when it's cold, because that's what it does. Oil would have just spewed out of that. All right, boom, say we fix that. Next thing, coolant would have poured out of this, because that's completely loose. That would have been found as soon as the coolant was poured in. All right, what else? Say we get past that. Next thing we would have found is like, why is the idle so high? Oh, because we have vacuum leaks everywhere. Boom. All right, next after that. All right, now we're driving it and it's just a bunch of exhaust leaks all over the place. Where's it coming from? Well, it's coming from the loose wastegates, the downpipe, the manifold gasket, all that stuff. All monkey business. So that's why we do these things, you know. And all I did was take the turbo off. I haven't even got into everything else yet, so I don't even know. This is how he received the car back from the person that was putting it together for him. So I don't know. You can fill in the blanks on that one and come to your own conclusion. But I'm just saying. But it doesn't matter now. We're fixing everything. We're gonna go through it as we are, and the car's gonna be great. He's gonna get it back. He's gonna drive. He's gonna be on. It's gonna do all the things that it's supposed to do. Anyway. So what's next on the list? All right, so we're gonna strip the top of the motor next. So the rat's nest cradle comes out, coils are gonna come out, all this stuff is gonna come out. Harness is out, which I won't get into great detail about it, but this harness is trash. So it's a good thing we're replacing it. Coils are out, and just a few notes about what was discovered in the process of getting to this point, which I'm not even fully done yet. The sandwich plate that was on here, the nut that holds the sandwich plate to the pedestal, was not tight at all. But the filter was tight on the sandwich plate. That means full send. The rails. So, the fittings are all loose, completely. Which is confusing because all of this had to come out to install this. So that means this was put in and then this was reinstalled with the intention of, yeah, this is good. So that's not good. And then right down in there, you can't really see it, but there's a mystery liquid in there. I stuck my finger in it and smelled it. It's gas. So someone tried to check their work, probably heard, saw, or smelled that there was a big fuel smell, and or a fuel situation, and then just kind of let it ride and was like, somebody else will deal with it. And someone else is dealing with it. So that's great. So lower intake manifold, both rails, all this stuff is coming out because now I have to look at all of it, because that's just kind of nonsense. And this was the turbo oil feed situation that they had concocted. Never seen anything like this before. Would it have worked? Yeah, probably. But nah, dude, we don't live like that. I'm going to press on. I'm gonna finish getting the rest of this the cradle out so that we can have that out. And then I'm gonna mod it so that the coils can still mount to where the coils are supposed to mount to. We're gonna get these lines off and get them attached to where they go, plug off some stuff, remove the lower intake manifold. At this point, I'm removing it for inspection purposes because I don't trust anything anymore. And that's just kind of how it's gonna go. Curiosity was just eating me up, so I had to do it. I took off the cover to take a look. Only after I had pressed the clutch pedal though. And in attempting to press the clutch pedal, it was rock solid. So that was cool. So I just kind of kissed it just a little bit more, and then it just fell to the ground. And now it's just free floating. And now I come down here and look to see why. All right, so if you're at all familiar with how that's supposed to look, that's the throwout bearing. You can see a large piece of it is not there. Yeah, there you go. Because it's still in the pressure plate, which definitely not going to get that on camera, but the whole face of the pressure plate right now is brown from rust. A lot of it. Whole lot. So just like that, in an instant, transmission now has to come down. And part of me isn't surprised. Another part of me is looking at it, and I think, I'm not gonna say it. We'll see when we take it off. I mentioned it once already in the intro video, but we'll see once we get it down. The whole top of the motor is apart. I'm about to take the lower intake manifold off, but wanted to show this monstrosity first. So those are the oil injectors. They are tied together through that T, which then go to this vacuum. I put that in parentheses, vacuum port. Which then on the other side is capped. I feel like I've gone over this before in my other videos. Had they been released, you would hear me harp on this a lot, but this is dumb. And that puddle of fluid that's in there, I might have been wrong. Although it smells like fuel, it might not be. So all the bolts are out. We're gonna go ahead and pull this off and see what we have. No, it's definitely gas. 100% it's gas. I think what it was is that the gas cap was left on tight, so the tank probably pressurized and pushed some gas through the lines, which is a thing. So if your fuel system's ever going to be open, loosen your gas cap so the tank doesn't pressurize, and it'll actually push fuel out of the lines, because, you know, that's what it'll do. Alright, so all that's off. That's as far as tear down as I'm going to go. The power steering situation seems to be fine. AC situation seems to be fine. I have the lines routed now as good as they'll go. I added this clamp here to hold the line down so that it has a little bit more flow and makes, you know, some kind of sense. The pressure switch is going to go here once I install it. They didn't install it. I guess he didn't know where it went. This line needs to be clocked a little better because the turbo sits right here. So with the turbo on, you can't get the service fitting on here. So this needs to be like on this side over here. So I need to loosen that and deal with that. Oil injectors are going to come off. The plugs are going to go in. Do a little bit of housekeeping. He has the heat shield for the motor mount, so I'll throw that on. Oil metering pump's coming off next, along with all these caps and things. And we'll deal with that. I need to get him a water temp sensor because he doesn't have one. Besides taking the transmission off, this is as far as I'm going to take the engine bay. I'm going to move into the interior next. So I'll go ahead and just pre-game and take the shifter out. I'm going to gut everything in here because I found the MAC valve under the driver's seat. He didn't have one, but it was under the driver's seat with some other important hardware. So I'm going to gut the interior, find everything. And I'm going to move my way to the trunk, and I'm going to finish off with pulling the fuel pump out. I'll end with getting that fuel filter situation sorted out. Because this is still amazing to me that somebody did this and was like, yeah, this is the way. This is what we're doing. Like, you can just look at that and just be like, something doesn't look right here. And they didn't even put the hose like on the body side. They put it on the tire side. Oh boy. Anyway, I made some progress, and given the situation with a lot of this stuff, I'm hitting the low-hanging fruit at this point. So I went ahead and pulled the oil filter pedestal off. And sure enough, the O-rings are completely square under there. I'm sure those are the original O-rings. I'll show you in a second. And then I pulled the oil neck off just to see, and of course the whole bottom of it is lobbed in RTV. So, you know, that needs to be fixed. But yeah, square O-rings don't seal. Look at them. The squarest of the O-rings, completely flat. So those don't seal, and that's why things leak. That's why you're looking for leaks and can't find them, is because you have square O-rings where there should be round ones, and these are stuck. Oh, there it goes, there it goes. Oh, look at that. Didn't even come off in one piece. Let me scrape that off. So this is not a washer. This is an O-ring. So yeah, these need to be replaced. So they will be. Yeah, everything's off. I'm actually ready to put stuff back on. The lower intake manifold can go on, and that's just for fun. I mean, there's no reason for it to be off now. Now that it's off and it's been inspected and I see there's nothing in it, it just needs to be cleaned and then put back on. There's a lot of like stuff on there that just needs to be cleaned off and so on and so forth. And then that can go back on. The secondary rail can go back on as well. I just realized that the injector diffusers for the secondaries were up on the cowl and they are in pieces. So that's cool. Not really necessary with the IDs that I assume these are, or Bosch or whatever they are. But anyway, modern injectors, spray pattern's pretty nice, so they're not necessary. They're nice to have, but they're not necessary. The primary diffusers are still in there and they're intact, and they feel good, so I'm just gonna leave them alone. I saw this, which would explain why he has the replacement clutch line. There it is. So yeah, you get the point. So it hasn't completely ruptured because it's still pressure. You know, it's enough to move the throwout bearing, but yeah, obviously that needs to be replaced. So he has a new line in the back with that. Oil metering pump is off, fully removed, and of course the FDA block-off plate. It's not branded or anything, but FDA block-off plate. We have these in stock. I'm going to go ahead and say that we have these in stock. Found them on the website fdauto44.com. We have them in raw finish, which they are billet. We have them in raw finish, and we also have them in powder coated black, if you so choose. So being able to just pull this out of inventory and then stick it on there and use it is really nice. And all the janky caps and plug situations that were on there. So this is the bolt that was in the stock oil feed, turbo oil feed line. It wasn't tight at all, which was really cool. And then this washer that's on it is a piece of plastic. So obviously this was gonna fail as well. This whole car was set up to fail. So, and I will make a correction. I talked to the owner about the fuel lines, which I might have mentioned it already, but they were left loose on purpose because the fuel system wasn't done yet. But then at the same time, if they were left loose, how were you expecting to get to them with the whole rat's nest situation fully installed? So I don't know, it doesn't matter. He wasn't the one working on the car anyway. This plug here, so rubber caps like this will fail 100%. These are time sensitive items. They do not last long, they will fail. This was on the side of the rear iron where the heater line goes into. I had to slice it down the middle and peel it off. And there's some sort of weird, I don't know, it's like he packed it full of rubber or something, but it doesn't come out now. I feel like if I try to take it out, I'm gonna break the whole thing. So I just put a cap over top of it. And then this was on one of the turbo coolant feed or return lines, one of the two, but there was two of these. I don't know where the other one went, probably on the floor somewhere. But those are gone now. So they're replaced with proper caps, which are these. I want to say they're 3 or 4 ply silicone caps. These will last forever. They do not fail, so long as you use the correct clamp, which I do. This is tight, so that's on there. And I am going to be replacing his stock water temp sensor, which is right here in the back. It's super brittle, it's super crappy, and these sensors, although rare, do go bad. So the condition that this plug is in, we're going to order a new harness, and when I put the new clip on there, as sturdy and beautiful as it's going to be, it could just deteriorate this whole thing, or over time it'll just deteriorate itself. So I'm going to get ahead of it, going to replace it, and we won't have to worry about it anymore. And then I'll just need to get a plug for that port there. I'm going to call the engine bay done. I'm gonna step out of here and go do something else now.